Hi guys, today inshallah we are going to look at the chapter 9 using verbs correctly. And in this chapter we are talking about some items, principal parts of the verb, regular and irregular verbs, tense, voice, active and passive, and the six troublesome verbs at the end of the chapter. So I want you to be with me and focus in order to get the benefit of this video, inshallah. The first thing we are going to talk about is the principal parts of verbs. So we're going to talk about section 1, which is regular verbs, and later we're going to talk about the irregular verbs. Let's start with the regular verbs. We have to know that we have four principal parts for each verb. The first one is the base form, which is only the verb, like here the example is stop. Stop is in the base form. The present participle, like is stopping. Here, the formation of it, we get a helping verb, part of verb to be. Am, is, are, was, were, be, been, being. And plus it, we have the base form, adding ing to it. So it is like here, is stopping. Stopping is the present participle. The past, in the regular verb, we usually add d or ed, like the example here, stopped. Take care that we double the p because it is preceded by a vowel and it is one syllabic word. So this is the past of the word stop, which is stopped. The last four main part here is the past participle, which comes after helping verb, verb to have or has or had. Then you have the past participle of the verb, adding ed or ed because it is a regular verb, like the example have stopped. So these are the four principal parts of any verb. You have the base form, you have the present participle, ing form, you have the past and the past participle. In irregular and regular verbs, we just add d or ed. So let's move on. Now it's your turn, guys. I want you to use the verb work to form the base, present participle, past, and past participle for each sentence. Let us look at these four sentences. I every day. Here he needs the base form of the verb work, which is going to be only the verb work. So we're going to say I work every day. The second sentence, I now, he needs the present participle. So we're going to put am or is or are because we are talking in the present time now. So I takes am, and after that we're going to add ing to the verb work. So it's going to be am working. I am working now. And the third sentence, he needs to put the past of the verb work, and the past of the regular verb as work here, we add ed, so I worked last week. Then the last sentence, we need here the past participle of the verb because it is preceded by part of verb to have as helping verb, so it's going to be I have worked since August. So here, guys, we have put the base, the present participle, the past, and the past participle of the verb work in the correct spaces. Let's move on to now the irregular verbs. And we're going to identify the irregular verbs for the four main parts of each verb. An irregular verb forms its past and past participle in some other way other than adding d or ed. So it is not ended by d or ed. Like for example, the verb ring, this is the base form, then rang is the past, and rung is the past participle. Don't forget the present participle, which is the ing form of it, ringing. Please have a look at the charts of irregular verbs for more information. You can find them in your book or you can Google them, charts of irregular verbs. Now let us talk about verb tense. What is verb tense? The tense of a verb indicates the time of the action or the state of being expressed by the verb. They are formed from the principal parts of verbs. So we use the principal parts of verbs in order to form the tense of the verbs. So for example, we have 12 tenses actually in the English language. We have the past, and from it we can say the past or the past simple. Also we have past perfect, past progressive, and the past perfect progressive. So from past we get 4 tenses. The same we do with the present and future. So we have present, then present perfect, present progressive, present perfect progressive. Also for the future we have future, future perfect, future progressive, and future perfect progressive. The idea of our tasks here is to know the name of the tense and its form. The name and its form. So the following chart is going to help you very well in identifying the tenses of the verb. So we have, as we said, the English verb tense, we have past, present, and future. And each one has 4 other tenses. So we're going to say the past simple, as you see here, I walked to the store. Here we use the second conjugation of the verb or the past tense, which is walked, adding ed to the verb walk, because we are talking about the past simple. If we go down to the past progressive, the formation of it, we get part of verb to be in the past. So it's going to be was or were plus the verb plus ing, which is the present participle. So it's going to be I was walking to the store. This is the past progressive. If we look at the past perfect, we get part of verb to have in the past, which is had, followed by the past participle of the verb walk, which is walked. So the sentence is going to be I had walked to the store. This sentence is in the past perfect tense. Now for the past perfect progressive. Here from the formation we have perfect and we have progressive mixed together. So we get verb to have in the past, which is had. Then we get part of verb to be. After had we get been, and then the ing form after been. So it's going to be had been walking. I had been walking to the store. Now let's move to the second one, which is the present. Also the present has 4 tenses. The present simple, or we can call it only present. It is the base form of the verb, or adding s if the subject is he or she or it. So we say I walk to the store, or he walks to the store. In that case, we are talking about the present simple, either the verb or the verb plus s. The present progressive we form it by putting am, is, are plus the past present participle. So it's going to be I am walking to the store, or he is walking to the store, or they are walking to the store. We just change the helping verb, am or is or are, then we add ing after it. Present perfect, we have or has plus the past participle. So here I have walked to the store, or he has walked to the store. So this is the tense named the present perfect. Now let's take the mix of progressive and perfect with the present. So we're talking about the present perfect progressive. We get verb to have or has, plus been, plus the ing form. So it's going to be I have been walking to the store. Now let us talk about the future. And also, as we said, we have future simple, future progressive, future perfect, and the future perfect progressive. If we talk about the future simple, we just form it by adding will. In some cases, you can put instead of will, shall, with the pronouns I and we. So we're going to say shall or will plus the infinitive or the base form of the verb. So here we say I will walk to the store. Future progressive, We form it by putting will plus be and then the ing form of the verb. So the tense is going to be I will be walking to the store. This is the future progressive. The future perfect, I will have walked to the store. Here we put will plus have plus the past participle of the verb walk. This is the future perfect. Future perfect, the progressive, we mix the progressive with the perfect. So we get will plus have been plus the verb plus ing. So it's going to be I will have been walking to the store. The idea which we must focus on in this part of our chapter, we have to know the name of the tense, for example, past simple, present progressive, whatever, and the form of each verb as you see here in the chart. I hope you focus on this chart, pause the video and look at it again, try to study it very hard, knowing the name of the tense and the form of each tense. So let us go now to your turn. This is a quick exercise about the tenses. So what tense is each verb written? If you look at this sentence, she walked to school last week. Here we have the verb which is walked. It is the ed form or the past form of the verb walk. So we're going to say that this sentence is in the past. Another example, Timothy swims 100 laps every day. So here we put the verb plus s, and in that case, this tense is the present, because we have said that the present or the present simple, we get the verb or the verb plus s. Another example, I will start on my homework after dinner. So here we have will plus the infinitive. This is the formation of the future. So it's going to be a will start. This is the future tense. One more time, she has done her homework already. Here we have part of verb to have, has, and the past participle. So this is the formation of the present perfect tense. Present perfect tense. Another example, they had arrived to the hotel before us. If you look here to the verb phrase had arrived, you have a helping verb had and the past participle arrived. So in that case, you are forming the past perfect tense. Had arrived, past perfect. We will be watching TV by 10 o'clock. Here in this sentence, you have the tense of future progressive. You have will and be and the ing form of the verb. So will be watching. This is the future progressive tense. So I think if you have an exercise like this telling you what tense is each verb written, you're going to look at the verb and identify the tense according to the formation of each tense. Now let us go to another item of our chapter, which is the consistency of tense. This is very important because while writing or speaking, we have to take care of the consistency of tense. What does it mean? When describing events that occur at the same time, use verbs in the same tense. So when the tenses or the verbs are happening in the same time, the same action is happening, so we are going to put the verbs in the correct, similar, or the same tense. Like here, the example, when we are comfortable, we begin homework. Here, guys, we have two verbs in this complex sentence. The subordinate clause, we have are, and this is the present tense because it is only part of verb to be. We began homework, also began is the base form, so it is in the present. So this sentence, guys, is consistent in tense because both tenses happened in the same time, so we put them in the present tense. So if we write the sentence in another way saying, when we were comfortable, where here is in the past. We began our homework, began is in the present. So this is inconsistent, and we should change either begin to began, so that the sentence is going to be, when we were comfortable, we began our homework, or we can change were into are, saying when we are comfortable, we begin our homework. In some cases, you have to change the tenses if they are not happening in the same tense. So take care, we don't change the tense of the verbs if they are happening at the same time. Okay, so now let us move to voice. This is another item of our chapter. We have to know the difference between the active voice and the passive voice. The first important thing is to know the definition of both active voice and the passive voice, because this helps you to differentiate between them. The active voice expresses action being done by the subject. It means that the subject at the beginning of the sentence is the doer of the action or is the doer of the verb. But in case of passive voice, expresses action being done to the subject. And this means that the subject is not the doer. Actually, it was the object, and we started the sentence with the object turning it into the subject. So, for example, if we say the school librarian has formed a book club. So here, guys, the school librarian is the doer of the action. He is the man who has formed. So has formed here is in the active voice. But if we start with a book club as a subject, then we say a book club has been formed by the school librarian. So the book club is not the doer. Actually, it was the object, and it can't be formed by itself because the school librarian has formed it. So I want you now to focus on the formation of the active and passive voice here, the verbs in red. In the active voice, you see here has form. It is only has plus the past participle. So this is the present perfect tense. But in the second one, which is the passive voice, has been formed. Here, guys, we have part of verb to be, which is been, and we have the past participle of the verb, which is formed. So has been formed is the passive voice of the present perfect. So how can I differentiate between the active voice and the passive voice? You have to look at two main parts. If you have part of verb to be plus the past participle, then this is a passive voice. If not, then it is an active voice. Again, the passive voice must have part of verb to be, am, is, are, was, were, be, been, being, plus the past participle of the verb, either regular or irregular, it doesn't matter. So if you have both parts in the verb phrase, then it is automatically passive voice. Now let's check your understanding of the passive voice. Tell if the following are in active or passive voice. So, number one, trees were being blown over by the wind. If you look at the verb phrase here, were being blown. Here we have, guys, part of verb to be, which is being, and the past participle of the verb blow, which is blown. So actually this part is, or this tense here in the in the passive voice. It is in the passive voice because we have part of verb to be, being, and the past participle, which is blown. Number two, the street lights made scary shadows on the sidewalk. Here you have only the verb made, and it is in the past tense. So there is no part of verb to be before it, and there is no past participle. So it is actually in the active voice. Sentence 3, the cave was explored by the scientists. Here you have verb to be in the past, which is was, and you have the past participle of the verb, which is explored. So was explored, this is the passive voice in this sentence. I hope you have got it. Now let's move on to another section, which is the 6 troublesome verbs indicated in our chapter. They are lie and lay, sit and sat, and rise and raise. So these are the three pairs of verbs we are going to deal with: lie and lay, sit and sat, rise and raise. Let us start with the first pair, which are lie and lay. The word lie, instead of or in addition to having the meaning of not telling the truth, which is to lie, you are just telling lies. This verb, we are going to skip it. We are going to have another meaning of the verb lie, which means to rest or recline or to be in a place. Lie. For example, when you say, I need to lie down and rest, lie here, you're going to rest and recline your body over something like a bed or a couch or something. The second verb is lay, which means to place something somewhere. So here from the definition, guys, it means to place or to put something somewhere, so there is something after it. So the first difference between lie and lay is there is an object after the verb lay. Like here, don't forget to lay the towels across the chairs. Here you have the verb lay, and after it you have an object, which is towels. So in order to differentiate between lie and lay, you have to look at what comes after. So if there is no object, like here, down and rest, there is no object, so we're going to take lie. But here, if you have an object after it, like towels, then we're going to take lay. But take care or focus on the conjugations of the verb lie and lay. So you should know the four main parts of these verbs. So the base form lie, the present participle lying, we change the IE into Y and then add ING, lying. The past tense lay, the past participle is laying. I have to remind you that lie, lying, lay, laying is not followed by an object. The second verb, which is lay, the ing form laying, the past and the past participle led. So it is lay, laying, led, led. Also take care that lay is followed by an object. So again, lie, no object, lay plus an object. Let us check if you haven't understood this part or not. Choose the correct form of lie or lay. So please your chair back. Here, if you look carefully at the sentence, you're going to have an object after the verb, which is your chair. So in that case, you're going to choose lay. Please lay your chair back. The second sentence, he enjoys in his hammock. Then here, after the verb, there is a prepositional phrase in his hammock. So there is no object here. So we have to choose lie. But we take care that enjoys as a verb is followed by ing form, so it's going to be lying. He enjoys lying in his hammock. Number 3, Fluffy has to rest in the pet cemetery. So here we have to put lane because it is actually there is no object here, so we need the past participle of lie, which is lane. Sorry, I have answer number 4 with click. The students, their pencils on the desks. So here, guys, we have pencils as an object. Then we need the past of lay, which is led. So the sentence is going to be the students led their pencils on the desk. So to make sure, if you look at sentence 1 and 4, there is an object after the verb, here chair and here pencils. So in these two sentences, we have to choose part of lay, led, led. Okay? So let us move on to another pair of verbs, which are sit and sat. And we start with the meaning. The word sit means to rest or recline or to be in a place when you sit down, for example, on a chair or on your bed or something. I need to sit down and rest. Here, sit, there is no object after it. But the verb set means to place something somewhere or to put something somewhere. So for example, don't forget to set the towels across the chair. Here we put set, not sit, because there is an object which is the towel. So also we have to bear in mind that sit, S-I-T, is not followed by an object, while set, S-E-T, is followed by an object. But also we have to make sure that you know the conjugation of the two verbs. So we have sit, sitting, sat, sat, and sat, setting, sat, sat. Also take care again and again. Sit, S-I-T, there is no object, but S-E-T, set, there is an object. Let's move on. It's now your turn to identify the correct form of sit or set in these four sentences. The first sentence, please down. Here actually there is no object after the verb which is sit. So it's going to be please sit down. Number two, he enjoys in his hammock. So actually here there is no object. So we're going to take also sitting with I because there is no object after it. And take care that after enjoys, we put a verb plus ing. He enjoys sitting. Now look at number three. Don't forget to the table. Here we have an object after the verb, which is table. So we have to get the correct form of verb to set. It is, don't forget to set the table. Number four, the students, their pencils on the desk. Here also we have an object which is pencils. So we have to put part of verb to set, which is set in the past. The students set their pencils on the desk. Hope you are doing okay with me, guys. And let's move on to the last pair of verbs, which are rise and raise. The definition of each one. Rise means to go up or get up by itself. So it doesn't take an object after it. For example, my neighbors always rise up early. Here you have the verb rise. There is no object after it. It means that they get up early. Raise means to lift up. It does take an object after it. So after raise, there must be an object because you raise something up. For example, the breeze raised the sparks into the air. So here we have an object which is a sparks. So we're going to get part of verb to raise, which is raised if we are talking about the past. So let us take the conjugation of both verbs. Rise, rising, rose, and risen, while raise, raising, raised, and raised. So we can say that rise is an irregular verb, but raise is a regular verb. Rise, no object with it. Raise, there is an object after it. Let's check your understanding, guys. Choose the correct form of rise and raise. We have also four sentences. Please, your hand. Here, guys, you have an object which is hand. So in that case, you need part of verb to raise, which is raise as imperative sentence. Please raise your hand. Number two, the dogs from their sleep early. Here, guys, from their sleep, this is prepositional phrase. So there is no object here. So in that case, we need verb to rise. The dogs rise from their sleep every early today. My temperature when I was sick. Here we are talking in the past because we have was. So we need past verb of either rise or raise. There is no object after here, after the verb. So we're going to take a part of verb to rise, which is rose. My temperature rose when I was sick. Let's move to the last sentence. She her grade by doing her work. Here actually we have an object after the verb, which is grade, and the sentence is in the past, so we're going to say she raised her grade by doing her work. So up till now, guys, we have finished everything related to the chapter. You can find the questions about this chapter regarding the four principal parts of the verb, the past and the past participle specifically. You can find some questions about the tenses, the name of the tense, or the formation of the tense. You can find some questions about the consistency of the verbs. I mean, when the verbs are happening in the same time, we are not going to change the tense of each one. Also, we can have questions about the 6 troublesome verbs, which we have just finished. Now, let us take part of a kind of short quiz having these questions. Choose the sentence that is written correctly with no errors in the use of verbs. So this question needs a lot of focus from you when you try to answer it. We have 4 sentences, as you can see. We're gonna analyze each sentence in order to see if it is written correctly or not according to the use of the verbs. So if you look at the sentence A, the large red balloon burst. Here, guys, we have the verb which is bursted, and the bursted actually is wrong because this is a misuse of the past participle of the verb, because the verb burst, if we put the conjugation of it, burst, burst, burst. So in the past and the past participle, it is burst without adding ed. So sentence A is wrong. Let's look at sentence B. Ron has known for weeks about the trip to Florida. What is the verb here or the verb phrase? It is has known. Actually, this is present perfect tense. And the has here is followed by the past participle, which is known. So up till now, it is correct. Also, Ron is singular, and Ron is singular noun, so it takes has. So this sentence, guys, is correct. But in order to make sure if it is the correct one or not, we have to continue analyzing C and D. So we're going to analyze C now. The beautiful autumn leaves will have fell to the ground by November. So here, guys, we have the verb will have fell. And actually, this must be in the future perfect tense, which is formed by will plus have plus the past participle. But here we have a mistake, because fell is not the past participle of the verb fall. Because if we look at the conjugation of fall, fall, fell, fallen. So this verb, which is fell, must be fallen in order to consider sentence C as correct. So in that case, it is not correct at all because fell is wrong. Let's move on to sentence D. The authors have wrote a detailed book about the Romani. So here, guys, we have the verb which is have wrote. Actually, authors are plural, so it takes a have. That's correct. But the past participle of the verb write is not wrote. It is written, because we say write, wrote, written. So actually, it must be the authors have written, not have wrote. So in that case, it is also wrong, sentence D. So the best answer or the correct one is sentence B, as we clarified before. Let's take another quiz or another question according to the same question. Choose the sentence that is written correctly with no errors in the use of verbs. We also have here 4 sentences. In order to answer correctly, you have to analyze each sentence alone and look at the verbs inside the sentence. Has Charlie ate the pasta, salad, and garlic bread? So here, guys, if you look, you're going to have the part of verb to have has at the beginning, because it is a question. And after Charlie, the subject, you have ate. And actually, this is a mistake, because has must be followed by the past participle, and the past participle of eat, eat, ate, eaten. So we have to take eaten, not ate. So in that case, sentence A is wrong. Let's see sentence B. She has sent some of her income to relatives this year. So here we have she, and she takes has as part of a helping verb. And after has, we have the past participle of the verb, which is sent. So the formation of the verb here, has sent, is correct. But also we are going to see sentence C and D before we decide finally. So C, sit these bottles in the recycling bin, please. Here, guys, you have the verb sit. So you should think of the difference between sit and sit. So here you have the word bottles as an object. So in that case, you need the verb that takes an object. And that verb is set, S-E-T, not sit, S-I-T. So sentence C is not correct. The last sentence, sentence D, my brother has took several spelling tests in school this year. In this sentence, you have the verb has took, guys. And here you have has because brother is singular, so we'll put has. And has is followed, must be followed by the past participle, but here you have the past only, which is took, because if you look at the verb take, it is take, took, taken. So here we must use taken. So it is a mistake. So we have now to decide that sentence B, she has sent some of her income to relatives this year as the correct one. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this revision of the chapter using verbs correctly. Hope you have got everything I want you to got. So please review the video again and try to study hard. Wishing you all the best. Thank you for joining me, and see you again and again.